Here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. Happy Lonely Friday night, and welcome to Sam Roberts Now. It is that time of the week where the lonely come together and celebrate everything it is to be lonely on a Friday night. You know, we're not truly as lonely as we can be if not on the big screen for the one and only Hot Dog. There he is. Look at him. Look at him.
Taking the loneliness, Sam. Take it in, man.
I'm taking it in. It feels so very good, Hot Dog. It feels so good to take it all in. Well, welcome to Sam Roberts Now. And I've got to tell you, there is, some weeks it's a little slow. Of course, by the way, super chat in. Every super chat gets read here on Sam Roberts Now. Of course, we know that some weeks, not a ton going on, Hot Dog. Some weeks we're like, okay, let's just find some wacky stuff to talk about, whatever it may be. And then other weeks, you got a plan. I'm sitting there, right, all week going, here's what we're going to do. I'm trying to keep up with this Drake and Kendrick Lamar. All last weekend, that was the whole game of the weekend. It's just being on top of it, trying to be there as soon as another song dropped to analyze the song. I'm getting all excited because then you get multiple songs a day, not just a weekend.
That was a lot.
Multiple songs a day. We got 3 songs from 2 artists in one day. It was incredible. But then once the dust settles, you realize that it's gotten to the point where one of Kendrick's songs is in contention for Song of the Summer.
It's a, as the kids say, Sam.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a bop.
It is a bop. I'm going to say this. Another thing the kids say, it slaps.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It really does. I mean, when you realize that some of the worst things you could ever say about another person are not only part of a diss track, but Song of the Summer. Yeah, I mean, the post going live today. The video for Not Like Us is either about to drop or maybe it's dropped by now and I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. But I mean, I'm sitting there like after a couple of days just listening to Not Like Us as its own song. And I go, I think this might be it. I think this is Song of the Summer. There's call to actions.
Certified lover boy.
Certified. I mean, you have to.
You have to yell it out.
I mean, he tried to strike a chord, but it's probably...
Amen.
Yeah, it's so fun. You can't help yourself. And so I'm going, okay, all we can do then is sit here and go through every track and figure out who won the whole thing. Then the Baby Reindeer interview drops and we go, okay, all right. I think there's something else that requires my analysis. Today, just because of timing, we really want the Kendrick Drake breakdown, and I'm sure, Hot Dog, you want to participate in that. Maybe that's something we do. Maybe because it's not going to wait another week. Maybe we can pop in for an additional show at some point and just break that down, just for a historical document, right? Just to
for the archives.
Exactly. Just so one day we can go back and say, "Oh, this is what happened," and we have this information here. But
when the Drake Kendrick documentary drops,
right,
they're going to need some Sam Roberts sound bites.
That's the other thing. But then what if they do a Baby Reindeer sequel, but now it's a documentary about the series? We're going to need some sound bites. You guys got to keep me, and tweet me and stuff like that. If you think a documentary series is coming to follow up either a documentary or something that happened in pop culture, you got to let me know, because I got to make sure there are sound bites out there for people to go through. This is how I'm going to make my living in the future. But I will say this is legit, that Baby Reindeer is, I watched this. I watched it. It wasn't I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think it was the weekend before last. But like, I turned it on. It was one of those shows that Netflix didn't really go, hey, this is it. This is the one. Kind of like Squid Game. You know how Squid Game kind of crept up on you? And then boom, now we're in. Everybody's watching it all of a sudden. I think
it was a sleeper agent.
That's right. I mean, the OG, like Making a Murderer, was not ever designed to be like this industry shifting, everybody's going to talk about it show. But boom, then it becomes that. Baby Reindeer, I think, is the same thing, you know? I mean, obviously people in the UK were obsessed with this from the beginning because there's not that many big shows about Scots, you know, to see that massive show and it's all about people from Scotland. That's very exciting for the UK.
There's that one Black Mirror episode.
That's right. That's right. I mean, for us in America, we just figure it's all British. I mean, we think Australian accents are British. It can be French. It's just, what is that, British? But it was the first show in, I don't know how long, that literally, even with everything going on in my life right now, I plowed through it in 2 days, like staying up late on nights when I needed sleep more than ever, just because, yeah, I'm going to watch another episode. Yeah, I'm going to watch another episode. It's 7 episodes, 40 to 60 minutes a piece. And it was literally a weekend, 2 days. And I was done. And like by the end of it, I was like, oh, well, what am I going to sink my teeth into now? Hot Dog, have you seen this Baby Reindeer? I mean, interrupt your drink.
I've not heard of it.
Heard of it?
I'm maybe like it kind of rings a little bit of a bell. Not like, oh, I know what that is. This is the first time I'm seeing a screenshot of it. It's the first time.
I mean, this isn't one of my weird horror movies. Like, this isn't one of my like obscure. Hey, this like there are times where I bring up stuff that I'm obsessed with. And even the streaming service that it's on, you're like, what service is that even? Like, what are you talking about? And I can accept that. Tubi? I mean, is it on Netflix or Tubi? Yes, it happens to be on Netflix. You know, it passes the smell test.
It's more of a statement on me than it is to you.
You haven't seen, you don't know anything about this Baby Reindeer.
I've heard now that you're mentioning it, because we get it on Zoom 10 minutes before. I've heard the term Baby Reindeer. I have not seen. I've not seen or got any info on anything.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is like the massive show right now. Everyone's got a take on it. If you're gonna have a take on a show, it's got to be on Baby Reindeer. So then I'll set it up for you. Then the story is basically this gentleman right here. His name is Richard Gadd. He's a comedian, but on the show he goes by a different name. But it's his story. It's a true story, dramatized. It's a drama series, 7-episode series, not a documentary, scripted series. But it's based on this stuff that really happened to him. Basically, the story is that he, was a struggling comic, getting nowhere, not making any money. He was working in a bar, and he ends up meeting this odd woman who on the show is named Martha. This is Martha from the show, Baby Reindeer.
San Antonio.
Turning me into Shaq right now. Where do you think she's from? Where do you think she's from, Chuck? Where do you think she's from? So Martha pops into the bar. She doesn't have any money. He hooks her up with a cup of tea on the house, and they strike up this relationship. Martha keeps coming into the bar, and she's kind of a weirdo, but she's like flirtatious with him. And he's at this point where he needs that energy. You know what I mean? Where it's like there's not a lot of positivity coming into his life. And even though it's kind of a little off-putting, even though it's kind of a weirdo is giving you that positive attention, you're still getting that positive attention.
It's attention.
It's attention. Like, he's a failing comic, but no matter what jokes he makes, she's laughing. That's a big part of it. That she laughs at everything that he says in a good way. And it's like he's not getting that from his audiences. So he's like, it's intoxicating to him. And he knows this is bad. He knows that this woman might be a little mentally off. But whatever. I need this right now. Okay. And he walks that line. He wants to know more about her. It's this whole thing, and it develops into this story about Martha over here becoming a full-fledged stalker. He finds an article about her that she used to stalk somebody else, that she got in trouble for it. And then he's like, oh boy, what have I gotten myself into? She finds his website, which has his email address on it. She starts emailing him nonstop, like over and over and over again. One of the funniest things on the show is that it always says sent from my iPhone, except it becomes pretty clear that she wrote it herself. because when she gets like mad and the emails sent from my iPhone is spelled wrong. So she's writing it at the bottom of the email, right? It's a funny little thing. And but he does all this stuff where he goes, oh boy, this is a problem, except then also eggs it on a little more. Like there are moments where he could nip it in the bud and instead goes, no, I'm going to be nice to her. I'm going to keep trying to, because he's trying to do that thing that a lot of people do. I feel like you would do, and I'd be telling you, you got to stop. Just stop. And you'd be like, nah, it's fine. Because he's trying to keep that positive attention without the ruining my life. Like he likes step 3.5. And he's like,
it's a tightrope.
Right. But a lot of him and you out there think that you're like Philippe Petit walking between the towers. Like I could just walk this tightrope, no problem.
Of course.
And
easy.
I'm like, no, you're not. You're the Walendas. You're the family just falling. Yeah, it's a very windy day, and you do not have the experience to be walking on this rope. You should have put the net up, dude. I don't know what you got to tether in, dude. Just tether in is all I'm saying.
Not a pussy.
He doesn't. That's what he thinks. He's not tethered in. So it just goes and goes and goes to the point that he can't date other people, to the point. And then you get like halfway into the series and you realize that there were events that happened to him that caused trauma that may affect why that's his trauma, which is why he is extremely damaged and is so accepting of all the stuff from Martha that he shouldn't be accepting of. And then, if you're watching it, you go, oh, okay, so like he's damaged and we're seeing what his trauma is. So in a way, there's some empathy to somebody like Martha, who number one is getting egged on by this guy, and number two probably has some trauma herself. And the trauma is graphic, at one point, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but for the purpose of this discussion, we got to get through the spoiler. And you can put your fingers in your ears. The show's been out for weeks and you never even heard of it. So
heard of it.
Whatever. But yeah, so he gets like, as he's trying to come up in the industry, he ends up, and you see it on the show, being a victim of assault by this gentleman who says he can change his life. It's a story as old as time. So he's dealing with all that, and this show becomes absolutely huge. And so he made the comic, Richard Gadd, turned this whole life experience into a one-man show. And he was touring, and he called the one-man show Baby Reindeer because she calls him Baby Reindeer on the show. Like that's her nickname for him. And it's based off of like a stuffed animal that she had. She always had this baby reindeer, and it made her feel better, and it always made her smile. And that's how she feels about this Richard Gadd. So she calls him Baby Reindeer. Yeah. So he's doing this one-man show. It picks up some steam. Netflix, and this is now real life. This isn't a television show anymore. Netflix comes up to him and goes, you ever thought about turning this into a series? He goes, I think about that all the time. I would love to turn this into a series. And you go, why don't you come turn it into a series with us? Turn it into a series. Boom. We're off to the races. It's a complete hit. The problem is these are theoretically all real people that we're dealing with. So, of course, the question comes up, like,
who is the real?
Number one, who's the real Martha? And number two, what do they say about stalkers? You're supposed to give them no attention. So the idea that you make a television show and it becomes a global phenomenon about them feels like the worst thing that you could do. At the same time, he says it in his own show that part of him is kind of enjoying having all this attention. So you're going, what exactly is going on here, right?
That seems like a conflict.
Exactly. And it's complicated. It's a mess for everybody involved, right? Because Netflix is like, it's a true story. And in the UK, the sort of libel, laws, the defamation laws, I should say, are even more strict than in America. But Netflix is pretty good, pretty buttoned up when it comes to legal stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. But he did a couple interviews, right? He did a couple interviews where he explained that the show, he said, exists in the sphere of art in the sense that it's emotionally true. But there are aspects that are dramatized. There are bits and pieces that are changed. There are things that happen in the show to maybe add a cliffhanger to an episode, put a bow on it, which is not uncommon in television, right? He said it exists in the sphere of art as well as things are changed to protect the people that it's based on. He says that he was stalked for 4 years by Martha, but he says that enough's been changed on this show and in his one-man show that even Martha wouldn't recognize herself, he said. That it would be very difficult to pinpoint the two things. He even posts, a thing going like, I don't want these people to be found. He says, in the end, I'm going to just tell you what happens at the end of the series, Hot Dog. I'm sorry, I got to tell you.
Oh my God.
I mean, I gave you weeks, dude. You
That's
never
fine.
even
you didn't give me weeks. I just found out about this 10 minutes ago.
Bro, you being out of touch is not something I can, I can't deal with that. Okay. Like,
no, that's fair. That's
okay.
Fair. Go ahead.
I don't even ask you to prep for the show. Just don't be totally out of touch. That's all I'm asking.
Don't be a boomer. Just don't be a boomer.
You're super boomer right now. And it's tough. It's tough. You're supposed to be the young one. I feel like I'm now adding the youth into you. And that happened fast. That happened very fast.
I have a law school t-shirt, sweatshirt on. So it's very boomerish.
She's a law student, she says. Oh. A lot of the veracity of a lot of her claims are having trouble being found, but she says on the show and in real life that she's a law student. At the end of the series, she gets put in jail for 9 months for all the stalking and threatening, and there are physical assaults that happen. It's not clear in real life if she did or not. There's no necessarily record of it. And Richard Gadd said that it's resolved is all that he's comfortable saying. It's resolved. He's not worried about it happening again, but he does say that he didn't want to throw her in prison because he felt like she was mentally impaired is what he was, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. Mm-hmm. So he didn't want her to go to prison, which implies that part never happened. Well, he ended up, this Richard Gadd, he had to put some stuff on, and then Stubby's in the chat saying big women want lingerie too. But I will say that he realized pretty quick that as the show got bigger, I mean, what is the internet going to do?
They're going to cyber snoop.
What's better than, internet sleuths love sleuthing, do they not?
Is it sleuth or snooze? It's sleuth. Okay, you're right. Why would I even question you?
I didn't want to bring it up because I know you're having a sensitive moment, and I wasn't going to throw you under. I wasn't.
No. It's sleuth.
It's of course it's sleuth. Of course it is. But the internet sleuths, it really took them. Zero time. The show was out for like 2 days, and they were like, "Yep, this is who it is." Because, found her. Yeah, we found her. No problemo. Because what happened was, and this is like 101. He goes, not every single event that happened. However, some of the little details really did happen. For instance, you can go back and find Richard Gadd's early, first recorded with a camcorder in the audience stand-up. And it's the same jokes that he uses on the TV show when he's bombing as a new comic. He does. Mm-hmm. Those are his original jokes. You can find the evidence of them. And he goes, yeah. And he said, it's a mistake. He said, what is real is all the texts and the emails that I show on the Netflix show, those really are what she wrote. And people said, say less. And they just searched the quotes. Right?
Wait, what?
So these quotes come up on the screen. This is the message that he just got, right?
Like IG, not IG, like iMessages you're talking about.
On the show, they're portrayed that way.
Right.
But some of them are tweets.
Oh.
I saw that light bulb. I saw that in your eye. You just figure, oh. So okay. To my knowledge, this is how it happened. They started looking up the quotes. There is one specific incident on the show where he makes sexual innuendos towards her. Again, this is why she's not totally at fault. She's talking about hanging curtains. He goes, I'd like to hang your curtains sometime.
I would say that too.
See, it's a smooth move. And then she messages him, I'm still waiting for somebody to come hang my curtains. And he's like, whoa, this is getting weird, right? People found the tweet where it says that. They've like, it's like, where, what? It's like, and they look it up. It's a Scottish woman. She, I'll gently say, looks like she could be from San Antonio. Like, I mean, it's all, and then you look at the thing and you're like, well, she literally looks like, if you're being honest, who would play you in a movie? This person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this looks like the movie version of her. You're like, well, this is clearly the same person.
Like if someone was trying to look for like the real life, if Chocolate Rain was an actor and they were looking for the real life Chocolate Rain.
Right. If I was like, it would be like if I said there was some guy that worked with me. I don't want to say who it was, but he was a total asshole about everything. And then I did a show about it and Tay Zonde played it. And then they just cross-reference a quote and found your Instagram. They'd be like, well, obviously this is the same person. Like
you'd be like, no, I was talking about Travis.
Yeah, it's clearly somebody else. Like, clearly the similarities are insane. Like, you didn't do half of the work that you claimed to do to make sure that this person was anonymous. And this sucks because people start cyber sleuthing like crazy. They go, and the person that assaulted Richard Gadd was this guy in Hollywood. And Richard Gadd was like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't him. Please don't ruin that guy's life. He didn't do this. But he hasn't put a comment.
But he hasn't publicly gone, see, this is like amateur hour here.
Right.
You either no comment everything or you deny everything.
Right.
You can't pick and choose which one you're going to deny, because then that's a confirmation for the other stuff.
Right. So then Martha, the real life Martha, and for a while, even when we did Satisfying earlier this week, I was like, I'm not going to, even though people have found her, I'm not going to say her name on any of my shows because, I don't want to be, I just don't want to be involved in all that. I don't want to dox people if they don't want to get doxxed, whatever. But I did go to her Facebook once. Once I found out that
curiosity.
When they had found her, it was very easy for me to find the they. And like, you go to her Facebook page and like the Facebook status is updating every 30 seconds with poorly worded. Yeah. I mean, it's like so clearly her. And then the next thing I know, the status gets updated again. And I find out that Martha, who I can now tell you, apparently is named Fiona Harvey, is scheduled to do an interview. That's Piers Morgan, Hot Dog.
Wow.
Yeah. But can you see? Okay, so you see this woman, right? You see her on your screen?
I mean, she looks like she's from San Antonio, but she also looks very, I don't know, like different. It's a weird casting.
Are you flirting with the real life Martha?
No. I mean,
okay, Tormenta263, I believe, is the Twitter account.
She looks like the Mad TV sketch of hey, he looking like a guy.
Yeah, like a man. Yeah, sure.
Like a man. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I see that, especially with the bangs and everything. But so it's announced on Thursday or a day before with 24 hours notice that she's doing Piers Morgan's show. Piers is like,
how proud he looks. He looks super proud.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's the exact. I mean, this is when what's his name captured Moby Dick. He's like, I got the whale. Like,
there it is.
Captain Ahab. When Captain Ahab got Moby Dick, this is the same thing. Yeah. So Piers got her on, and she did the full hour.
Piers is killing it.
Piers is killing it right now. He's killing the game. There were questions about responsibility and if this was a morally right thing to do. And Piers Morgan issued a statement that said, I ain't really trying to hear all that. So, yeah.
This is a statement right here.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. He said, you could talk to my 5 million views in 24 hours. That's who you can talk to, okay? And I go,
I can't hear you over all this money.
That's right. That's 100% right. And I go, okay, all right. I can't hate the game here. I can't. What am I gonna? I'm sitting here doing a Sam Roberts Now about the interview. So I really don't think he should have done it. Anyway, I'd like to break down so I can get some of his runoff. Like,
Piers Morgan rules.
There's not. Yeah, he got her. He got her on, and he spent the entire hour with her. And I hot dog. I took some notes.
My God.
I took some notes.
Transcript?
Because I was these are just my bullet points. Because
I thought that was a transcript.
No. I turned into Martha. I turned into Baby Reindeer. Just going like, I was utterly fascinated with what she was saying. I mean, there was a lot. I haven't seen as self-contradictory an interview as when OJ sat down to talk about what would happen if he actually had done it. It was, there were a lot of questions. Piers did a good job in the sense that he definitely followed up when questions didn't make sense, but he didn't beat her into the ground. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was like,
there's like a little game you have to play.
And you also have to be aware that people know, you know what I mean? People are watching. You don't have to hit her over the head with a mallet. We can all come to the same conclusion. So Fiona talked to Piers, and this is what she said on Piers. I'm trying to put it all together because I watched the whole Baby Reindeer. I told you the story of that. I watch all these interviews that old Richard Gadd did. Now I want to hear Martha's side of the story because she's pissed. She's furious.
Pissed.
Okay. She said it's all lies, which I was like, all? She said, yeah, all lies. Wait till you hear this, hot dog. The story that I just told you, apparently, according to Martha / Fiona Harvey, she probably won't want me calling her Martha, because she also isn't overly impressed with the job that Martha did. And at one point, she said that Martha on the show had a Scottish accent, but it sounded more like Glasgow than where she's from. Wrong Scottish accent. And she pointed out to Piers, and then I saw her do an interview. I didn't hear the accent at all, Piers.
That would bother me. Imagine if they hired an actor to play you and they had the wrong accent.
I mean,
they had a Southern accent. They had a Canadian accent.
Yeah, but it'd be like me going like, that's the wrong part of Westchester. That's like, that's not that far off, you know.
If they had a Long Island accent.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah. First of all, that's Italian. Hey. No, but then she pointed out that then I watched her do an interview, the actress do an interview, and she didn't sound Scottish at all. And Piers had to point out, well, she isn't Scottish. She's an actress. Like she's British. She's not actually Scottish. She's an actress, which I think that was the first time Fiona had really kind of put those pieces together. But Fiona, this is according to Fiona now. Fiona has not seen the show Baby Reindeer. She hasn't seen any of the episodes. She's seen a clip.
How does she know it's all lies?
People told her. People told her about it. That's a good question, hot dog. Any of these, you know, because again, I watched this in a lot of detail. Okay, I turned into Fiona myself a little bit.
I'm gonna call bullshit here.
Already?
Right.
That's bullet point.
Okay.
That's this one. Yeah. That's bullet point number one.
I know
you got so many to go through.
Okay. Can you imagine?
Okay.
Especially, I mean, you know, you're a big wig at this point, Sam.
Huge.
You're you're on SiriusXM. You're in WWE.
Yes.
Let's remove all that. Let's say you're a citizen, as they say.
Okay, I believe.
And someone,
I believe people say civilian, which is not obnoxious at all.
Let's say you're a civilian and someone makes a show about you on Netflix. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna watch all the fucking episodes that are coming out about you.
Not even one.
What?
Well, I'll tell you. She said it's not her kind of drama. It's not her kind of show.
Oh, okay. Not TNT drama.
She said it sounds obscene. She's gotten terrible death threats, and she thinks it's misogynistic, the show. So she doesn't want it. She's saying if it wasn't about her, she wouldn't watch it anyway, because it doesn't really sound like her type of show. She heard it's misogynistic, and she's got death threats. So
it's
no
a show about her.
No show.
She must have watched it.
Well, no, she said she did not watch it. As a matter of fact, she did say, though, because the whole point of this was she actually really doesn't even really know Richard Gadd like that. She doesn't even really know him. Like, she met him, but she doesn't really know him like that. So she
stalk everybody like that.
No, she hasn't. She didn't stalk. She doesn't even know him, the guy. She's like, this is all of it is a total fabrication, she's saying. But she did say that even though she doesn't even know him like that, that she heard about Baby Reindeer back in the live show days. She said 5 years ago, she heard about the live show being performed in Edinburgh.
Mhm.
But she had only met Richard Gadd 2 or 3 times, and she didn't know him. So, like, I would have thought that if, like, somebody that I met 2 or 3 times 5 years ago, I heard they were doing a one-man show about the time I stalked them, I'd probably, like, hit someone up and be like, "You gotta stop. This show is fucking nuts. Like, you can't, don't do this show. Like, I don't want to hear it." But she
You
said,
wouldn't go and watch it?
no. She said not only did she not go to watch it, she didn't really try to stop it. She just left it alone.
I don't know, man.
No, Alex, she didn't see it. She left it alone. She said, whatever.
But I'm also, but like, all right. I'm using you again. I don't know why as an example. You wouldn't go watch a one-man show if somebody off of Broadway, not on Broadway, someone off Broadway,
Edinburgh.
Yes, Edinburgh, was throwing a one-man show about my stalker Sam Roberts. You wouldn't go watch it?
I probably would at least tell him or her, I'm going to, like, there's going to be legal ramifications if you don't stop doing this show. This is totally false.
But you would watch it.
I would check it out because it would be tough. No, you're right. Because I wouldn't know what to object to if I had not seen it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the point I'm getting at. How can you be like, I haven't watched it because it's not my type of show? It's a show about you.
She's got other shit going on.
Like what?
Well, I'll tell you. We'll get into it. What she's saying is, because I was like, well, why would you just make up that somebody's stalking you, right? And she said that the article, remember I told you that he found on the show an article about her being a stalker before, like that's why he knew, oh boy, she might be dangerous, that there were legal things and everything. That article exists about her. Again, this is where the cyber sleuths were able to like go, oh yeah, and you just look her up. The article that the character found on the show, we can find the real article that is about her. But that article is bullshit, which I didn't realize. She said she was going for a seat in Parliament. She was trying to get a seat in Parliament in England. You know, that's their government, you know. And so they said they did a number on her. It was horseshit though, but they did a number on her, she said. So that article exists. So she's saying he found the article, was like, oh, I met this woman at the bar 2 or 3 times. Let me now just totally make up a totally fake story about her. That's what she's saying happened.
I mean, I don't know these people enough to say one way or another. I mean, that could be true.
And as a matter of fact, she's saying, because he hid her identity in the one-man show. Baby Reindeer, the one-man show, he hid her identity, but she's saying she knew it was about her because of the article. Like he showed the article. She went, that article is about me. Now I know it's about me, but it's, except for the article, everything else is fake, she said. Just the article's real.
Okay.
She said it felt horrendous. She felt horrendously because of people putting the tweets together with quotes on the show. So when people started doing that, finding her quotes, she's saying, first she said the only thing that's true on the show is that article. But then also the tweets that people found, she was like, oh, yeah, those were my tweets. And so now the tweets were also true, the ones that people found. And she didn't like how it felt when people were doing that. And Piers asked her why. She said that she thinks Richard Gadd, you know, this guy, the creator, the guy, has psychiatric problems. He's nuts. Like yeah, he's got psychiatric problems, and he's putting this all on her, she said. Okay? He asked her about the pub. You know, the whole story starts when he's a bartender who's an out of work, you know, comedian, not making any money, and he's at this pub, and he gives her a free cup of tea, and then he starts giving her free Diet Cokes every time she comes in, and that's how everything gets hit off, right? She said she did go into the pub, but she got plenty of money, she said. Plenty of money. She didn't need any free drinks. She bought her own drink. She said the whole tea thing was bullshit because she bought a lemonade, not tea.
Bullshit.
Right. She said it was lemonade, not tea. And she said she had a whole meal. She said she had a meal at the pub, which she paid for. And the reason you know that it's true is because she says she's a diabetic and she was hungry.
Does any of that matter? It seems like useless information.
Well,
Like it's a
she
TV
said,
show.
Instead of it being like, hey, I don't have any money, and him being nice and giving her a cup of tea, she said she ordered the lemonade with her money. She ordered a whole meal with her money, and she was there with somebody, and he interrupted a conversation that she was having with an anonymous friend who you don't know him anyway, so don't worry about it. But she was talking to an anonymous friend. He interrupted her to start talking to her, and it was actually quite rude.
All right. My question is, does she have receipts?
For the lemonade and the sandwich, particularly? Not only does she not have the receipts, but the friends that she was talking to have not yet come forward to clarify this. But she said it was rude. He interrupted a conversation she was having with a friend, and it was rude. As a matter of fact, she did keep coming in to the pub, but she got no free drinks. She always paid, and it was lemonade and soft drinks. It wasn't just Diet Cokes like they say on the show. Okay. There's a lot of lemonades. In the first part of the interview, I felt like she was trying to put a lot of emphasis on the lemonade, because it's almost like if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Like, ignore all the other evidence. She's like,
right.
She's
right.
like,
it's that thing that people find when they are guilty. They find that one little piece that doesn't perfectly line up, and they stick to it.
Right.
They're like, no. Well, if that's true.
Right. How many glasses of lemonade did I drink in that pub? A lot.
3.
How much lemonade did you see on Netflix? None. Then how can you believe any of it?
Well, I rest my case.
Right. And they're like, what about? No more.
If that's a lie, it's all a lie.
Now, interestingly enough, she doesn't know it. She said, when he said, I'm doing a show called Baby Reindeer, she wasn't like, oh, clearly this is about our story, right? She said that she only knew it was about her because of the article. And Piers said, did you have a toy baby reindeer when you were a kid that you went to for comfort? And she was like, yeah, actually I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well,
okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. She did the baby reindeer. She did have a baby reindeer. Yeah, she did. She did have a baby reindeer.
At least the title's not inaccurate.
No. He did say, she said this on the Piers show, he did say that he wanted to hang her curtains. He did. But it was just it was banter, she said. That was the other thing. The word banter was used many times throughout this interview. That was just a little banter, a little innuendo banter. Pub talk is what it is. No big deal. Just pub talk. And by the way, this pub is a pretty famous pub. I wrote it down. It's called the Holy Arms in Camden. And I guess it's pretty famous. There's celebrities that go there. Yeah, the Holy Arms, right? So that's where the pub is. But he did say he wanted to hang her curtains. And that happened.
It's a good line. It's a good line.
Right. But it's interesting that, like, we're now deep into the interview, and it went from only the article's the same to, yeah, that couldn't be true, because yes, I went to the pub, but I got lemonade. And
yeah, the baby reindeer thing was true.
Yes. And he did. Yeah, he did say he wanted to hang my curtains. Yeah. There's a key point in the show where before she shows up where he lives, he goes to her house. Like, he's outside of her house because he's so curious about her. She said she never saw him at her house. That didn't happen. So maybe that didn't happen. I don't know. That could be for dramatic purposes. The statistics about the show are, at the end of the show, this text comes up. She sent 41,000 emails, 350 voice messages, 744 tweets, 48 Facebook messages, and 106 regular mail letters to Richard Gadd. Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little hung up on the 46,000 emails.
41,000, hot dog.
41. Okay. That's much less than I thought.
41,000. And most of the emails said sent from my iPhone in different styles. So it looked like it was typed. Yeah.
And then 106 actual physical mails.
Like with a stamp. With a stamp.
In the modern age.
Yeah. This happened this happened a few years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, this is true. If it's even half true.
Well, I'm glad you said if it's half true, because first he was like, Piers was like, is that true? She goes, no, I didn't do any of that. He goes, you did none of that. She goes, no, none of that. Maybe a couple emails.
Maybe a couple thousand.
No, she says maybe a couple of emails back and forth, less than 10. He goes, how many emails? She goes, a couple emails. He goes, how many? Less than 10. So
I don't know. Like all right. So I think my natural thought right now is that she's full of shit, but also like, I don't think even the craziest psychotic stalker can send 40,000 emails. That's a lot of emails.
So the key is that email was the only way of communicating with him that she had at first, because she found his website, his email was on it. So she would just send email after email after, like, these were one sentence emails, email after email after email after email after email. The way some people send text, she's just sending email. Could
you, Sam, say that you send 4,000 text messages, emails, etc. to your wife?
No. But I'm not stalking her.
Yeah, that's
right.
Fair.
Right. Like
Yeah.
if somebody were like, let me go through your phone, man, this seems like a fairly typical amount of conversation to happen between a husband and a wife, as long as you guys have been married. If anything, he should probably show you a little more attention. You know, like that's, she goes, okay, all right. I guess my perspective was wrong. So she's saying no.
She's wrestlers too much.
Right. Right. He texts Baron Corbin more than he texts you. This is so she's saying, she said the same thing. She was like 41,000 emails. That's ridiculous. It was less than 10. And he goes, what about the tweets? She was like, yeah, that's bullshit too. He goes, well, people found the tweets. She was like, I don't even have a Twitter account. He was like, but what about this account? She was like, yeah, that's my old account. He's like, oh, so you did have a Twitter account? She's like, oh yeah, I did. I don't now. I'm saying now I don't, but I did.
Legalese.
And then she admits, she goes, okay, all right, fine. There was 18 tweets. 18 tweets. I'll give you 18. I won't give you 744. I'll give you 18 tweets. But as she puts it, those were mainly banter.
I mean, there's nuance, you know?
Right.
There's a difference between 18 and 700.
Right. And then as the question continues, she goes, okay, also maybe one letter. Maybe one letter. She goes, all right, I saw him. He was on television. He was talking about the assault that he was a victim of. I might have wrote him one letter. Okay. So we went from nothing to maybe less than 10 emails. Okay, sure. 18 tweets, maybe one letter, but still way less.
I feel like once you send a letter, you're already in like weirdo phase.
Okay.
Like one. You send one letter.
She says she doesn't understand how he said, did you fake the emails pretending they were from an iPhone? She said she's not tech savvy enough to do that. She doesn't even understand how somebody would fake iPhone emails.
How can you even type that out?
She says straight up, Netflix and Richard Gadd are lying. Straight up. She says she never heckled Richard Gadd at one of his comedy shows. That didn't happen. And then Piers said, did you go to him? She said, maybe I went to one. Maybe one. Big deal. I met a guy at a bar. Maybe I went to one show. One. But she didn't heckle, and she's never heckled, and maybe one show, maybe. But not the ones that were about her, the ones before that weren't about her. Maybe once, maybe. She said on the show, she physically attacks his girlfriend. And Piers asked her, did you ever physically attack his girlfriend? She says, I never physically attacked any girlfriend. I don't think he's ever had a girlfriend because I think he's a homosexual.
That's funny.
So she used her time on TV to specifically say, no,
gay.
Right? This couldn't be because I think you're homosexual, is what she said. That was what she said on Piers.
That's a good comeback.
Right. So logically, how could she, right?
Why would I stalk a homosexual? That doesn't
even it doesn't compute here, Piers. You tell me. How, Piers? She said that there was an episode in the show where she spent days sitting at a bus stop outside of his house. She says she did not sit outside of his house for days because she never even knew where he lived. Not, which again is a weird one. If somebody was like, did you sit outside that person's house for days? I go like, no, I would never do that. But instead she goes, no, I didn't know where to sit.
I didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. Either way, she's saying she didn't do that. She's saying it's not based on her. It's a fictional character. Piers is like, is this based on somebody else? She goes, no, it's a fictional character. So somehow, instead of going like, maybe this is somebody else, maybe it's not even based on me. She not only does she know it's not based on her, but it's so not her that it is her, but not her. Like it's definitely a lie about her, she's saying. You follow me? So it's like, it is about me for sure, but I didn't do any of this for sure, is what she's saying.
All right. So from the beginning,
go ahead.
Even the comedian admitted, like, some of this is exaggerated for TV.
Sure.
Some of this is, fiction. It's a tightrope. How much can she be mad about? I mean, because one, I feel like she's adding her.
Look, she only sent one letter, not 106. And she sent maybe 10 emails, maybe, not 41,000. That's her problem. She's saying, but according to her.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a big difference between, one and that many letters.
I mean, it's less than 1% of the amount of letters that he's claiming she sent.
Yes. But isn't he given a little bit of leeway just because him and Netflix have admitted to the fact that some of this is exaggerated? Like, I'm sure she might not be lying about the fact that it wasn't that many letters, but
that part is like literally in text form at the end of the show. It's like one of those, like when text comes up at the end of a dramatized show where it's almost like, here's the real story. Like if that part is not true, it says it in text right before the credits. So that part should be true. And if you're trying to play devil's advocate for her, if it says 106 and the real, like if you're writing a show about your stalker and you're like, this person wrote me 106 times. Well, that was for TV. Really, this person wrote me one letter once. That's not a stalker. That's a person who sent you a letter.
That would be insane. Yes, that would be insane.
And that's her thing. She's saying that is what's going on here. But it is interesting that she knows for sure it's definitely about her. It's not about somebody else. But it's a total work of fiction about her.
I just wouldn't even put myself in that position. Even if people found me out on Twitter, I wouldn't go to Piers Morgan
because she's saying it's a lie.
On front.
She's in the whole thing.
I mean,
she's saying she never reached out to his parents, which that was a big part of the show. She's never been to jail, never charged with anything. That was the way the show ended, which that might actually be true. And then she said she only found out about the Baby Reindeer live show because she was watching something else on TV. And then on the news, they were talking about it, but she was watching something else. She said that I was watching something else.
It gives me the vibe like they're both lying. One of them is.
Well, which one do you think is lying more? What do you think it's closer to? 41,000 or 10 emails?
I think she's lying more. I think she's lying more.
Because this is totally the opposite of the show. She said she found Richard Gadd to be full of himself and inarticulate, is what she said. That was her first impression of him. He was full of himself and inarticulate, and she only knew him for like 2 or 3 months. So first she said she only met him 2 or 3 times. Then she said she only knew him for 2 or 3 months, which it's a little different. It kind of feels like you've locked into saying 2 or 3 for all of your stories. You know what I mean? That's kind
Days, months, years,
whatever, 2 or 3
decades.
Piers found a tweet that she wrote about his backside, that she had written that he had a nice posterior, you know what I mean? A nice backside there. And she said that was a joke. That was a little Scottish humor, you know how the Scots are.
The good classic. Classic.
She said she comes from a happy, impoverished, middle-class background. That's how she grew up. Happy, impoverished, and middle class. So.
No, I get that. That's not a.
Well, you can't be impoverished and middle class. If you're impoverished, you see what I'm saying?
Okay,
Like,
yeah, no, okay.
right.
I only heard the impoverished happy. Okay.
Yes.
Middle class, yes.
She says she does. What the show did get right is she does have a law degree, although the show says she claims she has a law degree. She says she does have a law degree, and as a matter of fact, hot dog, she has a boyfriend.
Oh,
right now.
Does she have a law degree from the School of American Samoa?
No, not that one. That's where you got your law degree. She has a law degree, and she currently has a boyfriend. They've been together for 5 years, and he is a lawyer.
Oh.
So that's probably not a thing that somebody makes up and just applies to any lie to make it sound more credible. I don't think so. He said he asked about the voice messages, right? Because in it shows he says he has 350 voice messages. He goes, I mean, can't we just say like, okay, your credibility is in question. Play the voice messages for us. And she said it's impossible. He can't have 350 voice messages. And if he does, and Piers goes, wait. What do you mean if he does? Like, did you send them or not? She said he doesn't have them. And if he does have them, right? So she's
okay, never mind.
She's already getting ahead of this. She goes, first of all, he doesn't have them. Second of all, if he does have them, maybe he secretly recorded her at the Holy Arms pub.
All right, she's guilty. I'm sorry. Never mind. I was trying to play devil's advocate. She's guilty.
She says there was a scene of assault out at a canal. She said that didn't happen, which that's possible. Piers said, okay, so if some of these things didn't happen, but more specifically, the hard evidence, the 350 voice memos, the emails, the letters.
You could find that.
He said, are you challenging Richard Gadd to show the evidence? And she said, no, no, she is not challenging Richard Gadd to show the evidence. She would just prefer to be left alone completely. She would like to say,
why would you go on Piers Morgan?
Well, she wants to go on Piers Morgan to make the full announcement. He is lying, right? So don't believe anything that he says. And she would like all conversation about the matter to end now.
It would be like if Drake went on, ABC Good Morning America and said, I'm not a pedophile. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you just don't?
I'm not. Like, and I don't need Kendrick to respond. Just everybody stop talking about it.
I'm not that.
Everybody, I'm not that. Okay, first and foremost. Now, if you've got evidence for it or against it, I don't want to see it. Let's not.
And even if Kendrick has evidence.
And even if it's not real, first of all, he doesn't have evidence. Second of all, if he does, it's not real. So let's stop talking about it. Right. Yes.
It's a very weird PR move.
It's weird. It's weird. Well, I don't know about the team she has around her right now. I don't know. She says
she has all.
She says she will be taking legal action against Richard Gadd, against Netflix. She's exploring her options right now as to who else she can take legal action against. Hopefully nobody here. We're just presenting the facts as they're stated. But she will not be using, Piers said, the lawyer that you're using. Well, you're going to use your boyfriend, who's a lawyer of 5 years. Your boy. She said, nope, different lawyer. Won't be using her boyfriend.
He's a bench lawyer. He's trash.
Right. And also, she said that there are so many, at one point in the interview, she said, this is my favorite part, I think, of the whole interview. She said, there are so many lies in the Netflix interview that even if the 41,000 emails do exist, it still wouldn't blow her case.
Even if.
Yes.
Okay.
Hot dog.
Well,
yes.
I thought,
yes.
okay, so
that should, first of all, they don't exist because she sent maybe 10. Second of all, let's say they do. Still, there's enough evidence besides the emails. Don't get caught up in all that.
this whole time I'm like thinking of like, there's nuance to it. There's
Right.
like one side to every story. It sounds like she did all that shit that is being mentioned on this show.
She said that because he said we can also look at, you said you sent one letter to him, right? She said, yeah, one. One. He goes, okay, well, if he has that, we can look at the handwriting on that and analyze it against any other letter that he claims. We get handwriting experts. She said it is possible that he's forged an additional 105 letters, but those are forgeries.
She was so unprepared for this.
It's possible that those are forgeries, and I believe that.
Oh man.
She did, and then as the interview went on, it was like could have probably hit him with a hot 15 and then said, I'm done. She said at one point she had 4 to 6, more likely 6 email addresses because she liked to keep people on different emails because it's easier.
Not true.
Yeah.
That is not true.
She said, because sometimes people are asking, where's the electricity bill? I don't even use that email. Like this is my email I talked to Hot Dog with. This is my email I talked to yeah.
Good girl email, not a girl email.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Hot Dog, because when she's trying to explain to Piers why it is, and Piers goes, we had 6 email addresses, and she goes, yeah, it's easier.
Sounds very convoluted.
And Piers goes, I don't know anybody who thinks that's easier. And she goes, you probably don't know that many people because everyone I hang out with is like, yeah, that's easier. And then she mumbles, and thank God Piers followed up on this. She goes, yeah, I had 4 phones. You have a whole bunch of stuff. And Piers goes, you just say you had 4 phones? She goes, well, yeah, one was broken, one was this. She said that she also likes to use different phones for different people. That's also easier. So she had 4 phones at one point.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like something you would do if you want to stalk someone.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like Paul Heyman. Numbers. Remember Paul Heyman had called Roman Reigns, called Rock. He had the 2. Yes, maybe she saw that and was like, oh, that's what the wise man does. I get that. Okay, so that's checks out.
She's calling 4 of the same guys at the same time.
Right.
The only difference.
Right. She said that Richard Gadd was never even her friend. She said that she only exchanged, and I wrote this down because I liked it, Scottish banter with him. It's just like Scottish. She's like, you know how Scottish banter is. She said, this is a guy.
No.
Right. Is that Scottish or Puerto Rican?
I don't know.
It's almost Mexican. I mean, it was, yeah. She exchanged Scottish banter with him is what she did. So the tweets back and forth about changing the curtains and that he has a nice ass and the maybe 10 emails and the letter that she wrote to him, Scottish banter, not even a friendship. And he said, were you in love with him? She laughed at that. Certainly.
So did no one change the curtain?
No, I'm sure it was. Well,
she's had a whole Netflix series.
She's had her boyfriend for 5 years, so they're probably changing curtains every night. You know what I mean? But you know how when you have a crush on someone, you don't want to tell anybody, and somebody goes, "Are you in love with them?" and you go like this, Hot Dog. No,
absolutely not.
That's what she does. Piers goes, "Were you in love with him?" and she goes, Piers. No.
Very ridiculous question.
She said he actually, after he asked this question, he once asked if he could sleep with her. When he did the curtains joke, he said, can I go back to your place with you? And she said no. She brushed him off. So she brushed him off, not the other way around. And she wasn't into him because he was, quote, a little boy without a job. Which she said, I know it sounds awful, but, what can I tell you? She's thinking about writing a book about this, as a sequel, a sequel to Baby Reindeer from her perspective, but also points out that she might not.
I did it?
Well, no, she might not do it because she's got a lot of other things to do. You know, the same way she didn't go to the show, she hasn't watched it. Like, she might write a book about this, but also might not, because she's got a whole bunch of other stuff to do.
Yeah. If I did stalk him.
Right. Piers pressed her on this. She said she did get a law degree. And she did well because she's got a photographic memory. So that's how she was able to do well. And then Piers said, what grades did you get? And she said, my grades were all right. And I swear to God, Hot Dog, if you watch one part of this interview, the end, when Piers is asking, but what grades did you get? And she keeps saying, I got all right grades. Like, she will not. She just keeps going back. You know, they were all right. He goes, but he goes, but what were the grades? She goes, all right. They were all right. Some people did good. Some people did bad. I did all right.
I got past it. I got through it.
And he goes, but you just said you had a photographic memory, so I'm asking what the grades were. And she goes, and I'm telling you, they were all right. Like, there's no...
Let's move on.
Right. There's no specifics. As specific as she gets is she got all right grades. And then he said, would you take a lie detector test? And she goes, I'd be happy to take a lie detector test. And then he goes, because we've had lie detector tests on this show. And she goes, well, I mean, you know, most people don't take lie detector tests. Maybe if you're a murderer, you take a lie detector test. So she started kind of going back and going, maybe I don't want it. Maybe I won't take a lie detector test after all. He said, remember I told you that she had only met Richard Gadd 2 to 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
That was the beginning of the interview. At the end of the interview, she said she'd met Richard Gadd 5 or 6 times.
Sure.
Right.
It's close enough where sometimes you can't even tell.
That's double.
3, 4,
2 to 3 or 5 or 6 is double.
Yeah. Sometimes you double it up and you don't even realize.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's true. And again, says she thinks Richard Gadd made up the story based on articles about her, and that she hopes that the internet will now believe her because all of her friends believe her. Is what she said. And I believe that. All of her friends.
If out of the whole story, I believe that.
All of her friends, 100% of the people who are her friends believe her. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we hit it all. I would imagine that we haven't seen the last of this. It feels like Richard is going to have to do some more interviews where we're going to have to usually when shows like this come out, you don't really have to break down exactly. These are the list of things that happened. These are the list of things that didn't happen. But this is why you don't write shows about your stalker. It doesn't tend to be easy.
You think that's the moral of the story?
You don't write if you get stalked and your stalker's not dead or in jail, don't write a show about them. Yes, that's the moral of the story. And as nutso as this interview was, the whole show is about the fact that Richard Gadd did have this desire to keep the stalking going. There was a part of him that was enjoying being stalked. And I do think that if we're just being totally, impartial with this whole scenario, that we do have to ask if he, to an extent, enjoyed the stalking, and then he finally had to get the stalking to stop. Was that part of him that enjoyed it?
I think it was more
when he goes like, yeah, I'll write a Netflix show about this. Did he really not think that it would get back to her? Did he really not think that it would dig up demons from the past? Did he really not think that this would happen? And was this part of him that was romanticizing it a little bit still kind of pushing him to do this? Maybe.
I think it's a good story. And if it was if Netflix thought it was a good enough story,
it's a great story. It's an amazing show.
Yeah. I mean, so you're telling me if you had the opportunity to tell this story that Netflix was interested in to a worldwide platform, whether it's a stalker or maybe, like an underling who works for the Notsam Corporation.
The hot dog show. I'm telling you that I would take a lot of precautions to separate art from reality, and I would probably not pitch it as a true story.
So you probably wouldn't hire Tay Zonday.
I would probably not hire Tay Zonday and go, this really happened to me, but you'll never guess who it's about.
Okay.
Like, and then pitch it to like Jim and Sam fans and go, trust me, guys, you will never guess.
Never know.
Never guess. Like, and going on the internet and saying, hey, everybody, please don't cyber sleuth and try to figure out who it is about as intelligent as, okay, please just accept that all of this is lies and stop talking about it, but don't present any evidence one way or the other.
Right. Okay. All right. That's very fair.
That's all I'm saying. Like, let's all live in the same reality of
yes,
and understand what ramifications are. And I'm sure that Netflix was aware of all of these possibilities. And I don't believe that they acted in any way nefariously, but I do believe that Richard, who it's his show, and it goes back to doing a one-man show about it. It's like, if you truly wanted this completely out of your life forever, did you take every step? That's all.
He did not. I'm sure Netflix did. Netflix is probably safe.
Netflix is protected, I'm sure. They know what they're doing. They're a smart company.
Yeah.
They make a lot of good decisions. A lot.
Like one coming in 2025?
It's raining good decisions. All right, let's get to the super chats. If you have been enjoying the show, super chat in. Every super chat gets acknowledged here on Sam Roberts Now. That's a rule. Let me get her off the screen. Of Sam Roberts Now. Every super chat gets acknowledged. Six Crow says, welcome back. Thank you, Six Crow. We always appreciate you. Aaron says, Jim Norton, 8 p.m., Roxy Theater, McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. So any of our not Samsonites that are in or around McKees Rock, get out there. Good plug.
You got 2 hours.
Yes, you got plenty of time. Lehman, Sam, please tell me you saw the Piers Morgan interview. Watching her contradict herself with such confidence was wild. Clearly, that super chat came in earlier in the program.
I love those super chats that by the time they get to the end, it's already like null.
Yeah. That was an expensive super chat too. Well, I appreciate that. Beefstick writes in, my mail finds its way into hot dogs rump roast. That's just a little Scottish banter, by the way. That doesn't mean one thing or the other. Justin Pace, please tell me you saw the trailer for In a Violent Nature. Looks like Friday the 13th movie the fans have always wanted. I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I will make a point to see it.
Thank you for your first super chat.
Was that his first?
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Let's see. Another one from Beefstick. Not Sam's head laying in my bed. My little rump roast does not dread. Fill it up with mayo. Let's all have a toast to the one. Whatever. I don't know. That sounds like a. Okay. That sounds soccer. Sounds a little baby reindeer. A little baby reindeer.
You can make a show out of that.
Yeah. Okay. These are a lot of. I mean, Beefstick. Did you or did you not send in 3 super chats in one show? Maybe 2. Maybe 2.
Maybe 1.
Yeah. Awkward Loser writes in. You heard of Deadlock Pro Wrestling? They are fans of you and Chip. I don't know if I have or not, but I will look it up. I appreciate that. Wiedenhoff writes in, some money for the guys. How did the kiddos enjoy take your kids to work day at WWE, Sam? Also, Hot Dog is a drunk and his Instagram and weight gain show it. Well, that's not nice.
My weight gain?
That's not cool at all. What are you talking about? No. I don't think you're a drunk, Hot Dog. I think, I mean, sometimes you like to have a cocktail or two, but you know, what you like to have a good time.
It's, as the kids say, Friday.
But to answer your, I didn't hear that because my headphones got knocked out. I was waiting for you to stall. But to answer your, they're back now.
Oh, well, I was gonna say you missed one Beefstick. I would not want to miss his stalker stuff. He did have another super chat on top.
On top of this,
yes, it's about Hot Dog's teeth.
I know. I skipped through that. Hot Dog's teeth and eyes are really white. Guy. Yeah. But I appreciate you, and I'm sure he does too. Wiedenhoff, the kids loved take your kid to work day at WWE. That's one I never thought I'd that's one of those goals that you don't realize are goals. It was a really kind of wild thing to go like, I'm taking my kids to WWE for take your kids to work day. Like, talk about a
probably
full circle moment. Were you jealous when you saw that?
You could have snuck me in there.
Yeah, these are my 3 kids.
Yeah, no one would have noticed.
Yeah,
no one would question it.
No, yeah, and it's the new headquarters, so all the cool stuff is in there. It was lit. And I mean, this was awesome for me. We're walking around headquarters and all the TVs are up everywhere, and they just happen to be playing The Bump. So the kids walk around and there's dad on TV. Ain't no question. Awesome. What do you do around here? Check the monitor on the wall, bro.
Now, here's the question I have. As a father who is on television and all this stuff, do you feel like showing your kids too early on what you do, because it's cool at AF, what you do you feel like it doesn't impact them as much as if you waited a couple more years and explained to them when they're like, like if they had like a
first of all, anybody, and there are plenty of people like that. That's a perfectly fine, and I bet you would be like that as a father. But anybody that thinks to themselves, I'm going to wait and tell my kids what I do for a living so that they think I'm cooler, is a narcissistic moron.
What? No.
Yeah, that's called toxic narcissism, and not something that I would want to be a part of.
No, I feel like it creates context. It creates good context, because like kids don't know, so they have like a normal context of what dad does. And then all of a sudden, when they're 10, they go, holy shit, this is what dad does.
Right.
Instead
and
of it just being.
I go, don't tell your sister. She's too young to comprehend how cool I am.
Right.
Yeah. No. You see how if I just phrase that slightly differently, how psychotic it sounds?
All right, I am fine, I guess. I thought it was humbling.
Yeah, you were asking like a decent question, and I'm made it clear that you are a lunatic, toxic narcissist. Six Crow, hot dog, a crisp $100 bill for the Not Sam jacket in Toronto at Sam's live show. Come on.
I have to go get it from my parents' place.
First of all, it's not for sale. It was the answer.
Wait, sorry.
You trash bag. By the way, that 100 will come directly out of, that will come back to me 100%. Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Bad guy Rob writes in, I kind of want to see her in an angle with Kane and Triple H. I think I know. Wrestling fans get it. Beefstick, you broke your rule. You didn't read my chat. No more money. Well, I read that one. And by the way, that's not the rule. I acknowledged it.
You didn't acknowledge it until I made you acknowledge.
I had it up on the thing. I had that one up.
Oh. Okay.
It was acknowledged. And then I said, enough is enough.
Okay.
And enough is enough. We're doing shorter shows now. Thank you guys for hanging out and helping me analyze and break this thing down. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit like on this video. Don't be stingy. Leave a comment. Oh, we got a super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for making this make sense for Hot Dog and myself. And thank you for allowing us to do something that is this fun. It is great. We will see you again soon for another Sam Roberts Now. You got 5 styluses. You might as well use them. I'm going to cheers with you later.